The faith lesson for today comes from Philippians 4:13. One of the most familiar verses. You'll see it on bumper stickers and throw pillows and coffee mugs, but probably one of the most misused verses too. Philippians 4:13 says, "I can do all this through him who gives me strength." One of the more popular translations says, "I can do all things through Christ who gives me strength." Well, in one sense, we could say that abstract. I can do anything through Christ. And it's true. Nothing's impossible with God, and by faith in Christ, we can do anything he's called us to do. But the context makes this an even deeper and richer reality that Paul's getting at. Paul's writing to a church in Philippi that he's incredibly grateful for. These are some of the most faithful, sincere believers that he knows, and they've been incredibly generous and supportive to Paul in his missionary work. And he's just got done telling them that he has faced a lot of different circumstances. He'd faced adversity, he's faced exciting, victorious times, but I want you to think back to Paul's first encounter in Philippi in the book of Acts, where Paul is imprisoned for preaching the gospel, and at midnight, Paul and Silas are in jail in Philippi singing hymns to God. How do you sing hymns when you're in prison at midnight? Paul says just before verse 13 here in Philippians 4 that he's learned to be content in whatever state he's in. So whether he's being persecuted and thrown in jail, or whether he's on the mountaintop preaching and seeing thousands come to Christ, Paul is content because he's found his strength and his joy and his confidence in Jesus Christ. When he says, "I can do everything through Christ who gives me strength," he's saying whatever God has called me to in life, I can face this and I can do this and I can do it with joy and with gratitude because I'm trusting that God is powerful enough to carry me through. So when I read this verse, sometimes I run into people who they want to quote this verse before they, go play a soccer game. I can win this soccer game. I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. Or, they're going to take a big test, or they're hoping for a promotion. It's true that God can do anything in our lives. But this verse is an assurance that no matter what we face in terms of persecution, in terms of adversity, in terms of challenges, as we are following God's will for our life, and particularly as we're sharing the gospel of Jesus Christ in a culture that is opposed, a culture that sometimes hates us or marginalizes us or gets angry or persecutes us, that we can face anything because of the strength that Jesus gives us. That's what it means to say, I can do anything. I can do all things through him who gives me strength.